Morning, everybody. How are we doing? Let me know if the audio is good. Should be able to see my TradeZilla screen. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Let me know in the Discord if you guys are good. All good? So a slight delay there, but that's fine. Okay, good morning, everybody. Wednesday, 25th of June, coming up into, pretty much the last week of the month, which typically is a bullish week, which is good. Typically the second and the last weeks of the month tend to be my best weeks, and you kind of see here, the second week of June was just under 50k on the week, which is a pretty crazy week. Pretty much on the Tuesday where it was 35k, then the second day 8, then on the Friday 5. So pretty decent month so far. This is my personal and Top Step. So this is 2 accounts on here. Well, technically like 7 or 8 accounts in one. But just showing you the stats for the month so far, just under 80k in 14 days, which is pretty crazy. Top Step payments have finally been submitted. We just need to wait for those to get approved. So I will let you know once they do get approved, and that will be, I forgot what I said yesterday, about 45k, I think, something like that. It's in the success channel, I think. Be minus fees, probably like 44, I can't remember, quite a bit. So looking forward to getting that. Let's just jump over to the trading view screen. I'm going to show you 2 charts today, just purely because there's 2 charts that I think is worth going over. So I'm going to go over the RTH in terms of why I did not take a trade yesterday, and for those who are new, it's probably going to be a lot harder to understand the reason why I didn't take a trade yesterday, but I'm going to try and... But I think I did a pretty good job yesterday breaking down the ATRs and the reasons why. But a really good example is to actually just look on the RTH only. And you can see yesterday, the only ATR bar we had, for those who have the indicator package, the only ATR bar we had was on the 5 minute, and that was a reversal to the downside into that overnight high. Which is, I'm assuming, the overnight high of today. I'm not sure if this is today's or yesterday's. Someone could probably let me know. 384s. But this was all we had. That was the only print that we had. And you could argue there was a traditional that traded at 1055, and that was the only real extension that there was on the RTH that I could see. That did go into extensions and did complete into the close. That was all she wrote, but it was fairly technical, just not really what I wanted to see in terms of those aggressive entries. But as I said this morning, you kind of just have to play those extensions until they break. But I'm just showing you this because literally that is all we had yesterday. The ATR on the day, just to show you the RTH ATR, the reason I spoke about it so extensively yesterday is because it pretty much did exactly what we said on stream, which was pretty wild. So we went all the way, if we go back to yesterday, we went all the way to the ATR on the day. You go back last night. We went all the way to the ATR on the day, 100, it was 99%. This is not calculating it. Back into yesterday. Yeah, that's annoying. It was 99, so I don't know why that's showing 136. Let's see if I can go back a little bit more. Yeah, it's showing 136. But if you was in the room last night, you saw the message I wrote. It was, let me just get it up, 99% and 386 versus 382. So pretty wild to see that that's what the average was, and that's what the chart did. So we came in just under 4 points of the average. And the reason that's important is because the range yesterday on the RTH, we actually only traded 77% of it. So I said yesterday, for us to trade the full 240 would mean that the daily ATR is going to be a lot more. So that was really important to pay attention to yesterday. I will upload that recording to the masterclass course as well. A couple of you did ask to watch that. So going into today, obviously I don't think we're at all-time highs. No, not yet. We're not at all-time highs just yet, but we are getting very close. So we are on the NQ anyway. We are, let's call it, about 90 basis points away. So getting very close to all-time highs. And if we bring over the ETFs, you can see on the ETFs, those all-time highs, you can see where they are on the SPY 613s, and on the Qs, we are breaking all-time highs. Are we? The Qs is at all-time highs. We have broken all. How weird, on the NQ we haven't. I'm assuming that's just a contract difference, right? So on the NQ we're still at, or still below. Let's have a look. This is adjusted for contract change. There we go. So yeah, we have broken those all-time highs, which is pretty wild. Adjusting for the contract change, we haven't technically. So it's whether you want to have that on or not. I do typically have that on, just because the fibs, it's a lot easier to have that on. So technically, in terms of adjusting for contract changes, we technically haven't, but without that, we have. So that's important to look at on the daily, just in terms of where we are. That negative 23, the 62 is above us at 23, 123s, and the full negative 100 of that high to high from the 23rd of May is there at 23, 955s, which, just for context, that's 6.4% above of where we are now. Going back to yesterday's trades, what did we say? The only extension I could pay attention to, or did pay attention to, was the traditional out of that 61, and I'll show you that 61 in a second. That was the ATR reversal up on the overnight from Sunday. That traded at 61 at 12:30 on Monday. We traditionaled out of that, went into extensions, and bid the 38 once, bid the 38 twice, 3 times, 4, 5 times. And going back to yesterday in terms of, again, why I didn't take this long even though I saw it, one, I was expecting or wanting a full draw from this 61, which would have been pretty much down here. So I was wanting to get long at around 140s, or as low as I've still got the alert there at 20,070. We didn't get that pullback. We will get it at some point, but it's about following the extensions until they break at the moment. So that was the 38. What could I have done differently yesterday if I didn't want to obviously go against my bias of not trying to go long on this move? Where is that gone? That is the high. If you're wanting to pay attention to, that is the high of 145 on Monday is the current high to high. And what could I have done differently yesterday? Well, you notice we opened on that halfway back. We then traded that low with a reversal bar to the downside. We got back above, and once we did get back above, we actually did trade a traditional. That traditional traded 10.05 was the low. The anchor high was 10.45. It trades the halfway back, never breaks this extension, and it does go all the way to its negative 100 by 12.45. So it was technical. It traded the halfway back once, and within 25 minutes, we were above targets. So that is a technical extension to pay attention to, and it's not surprising it did go all the way to its negative 100. So going into today, I will pay attention to see if, depends if we get it, but I will pay attention to see if we get, so far, we have traded the extension high multiple times on the overnight, and that has already completed its 23 and not yet 62. So a couple things you can do here. Depends how aggressive and how big your balls are if you really want to be taking these trades, but you have to take them until they break. For me, I would be looking at potentially going long on a high to high here. If this breaks the 62, just pause, sit on hands, wait 25 minutes. If we're back above, stab long again. If not, wait for that same anchor, new high, and wait for those deeper pullbacks, which will take you into the same level as we were talking about yesterday in terms of the cautious area. But now we're back above, or now we have broken above. A break and retest of that area would be quite nice. It is also good confluence of yesterday's high, which you can see here. RTH yesterday's high, which I pay attention to. In simple rules, if you're new, I like to always, if possible, if I'm going to be long, I like to be at least at or above previous day high of the RTH session. And of course, if I'm short, which not in this market I would be, but if I was, it would be below. Ideally, we want to be below the RTH low from the previous day. That's just simple, black and white sort of rules. much more context in that, but it's a good rule of thumb, and obviously that meets the criteria in terms of today. It also meets the criteria in terms of this same anchor new high. Now, if you looked at the traditional from yesterday that traded on the RTH, that full same anchor new high puts you just below and rebalances all of this price from the overnight session. So I will limit 446s, which is actually the target from yesterday that we were referring to, and I will also limit 426 as a level of interest. Now, if we don't come up to those levels and we just continue to infinite bid, the only things you can really pay attention to is again, just playing those extensions until they break. And currently that would be, as I mentioned a second ago, either 447s or 480s. Very tight risk there, 7 points. So either one of those, if it's going to bid, that's where it's going to bid from. And the targets, obviously you can plot them out yourself. 526, 552s, and then a full completion would be 574s. Now, I still have targets on the NQ at 650s. Yeah, 650s up here. So these targets are still in play at 650s, and that comes from the daily time frame. And you'll be pleased to know we have finally turned bullish on the daily. Yay! Woo! We have finally turned bullish on the daily, so that's an indicator that is a proprietary indicator that I'm sort of working on, but it has technically turned bullish on the daily. So you guys aren't all aware of that indicator, but that is an indicator that I've been using in terms of momentum, and you'll be pleased to know it has finally turned bullish. So at all-time highs. Just means we have to obviously be cautiously long on this move, but it's just good to know in terms of momentum, staying on the right side of the market, blah, 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 blah. All of the area in here was basically cautious, and it wasn't bullish on the daily, hence why yesterday no trades, and pretty much last week I took a couple of days where I didn't trade as well. So that's just context on that. So it just means today, you know, if extensions do come into play, most likely I'm going to take them because the daily is bullish. And even if they stop us out, hey, you took your trade. That is literally all you can do as a trader. So if there isn't any questions, I will end the stream here, and I will load up Zoom for the top tier members. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you're not a member, most of you will be, but if you aren't, link in the description will be for the 7-day trial, and I will see you all over there. So yeah, I will jump on Zoom now, and I'll end this and